Paleo, raw food, Pescatarian, vegetarian, Mediterranean, Atkins, Carnivore, Intermittent Fasting, Keto. The list goes on and on. I'm not a doctor, so I'm just sharing my experience with these diets. Always talk to your doctor before trying anything. Don't take this as medical advice. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Jessica. It's almost that time, that New Year's resolution time. And majority of the time, everyone's trying to lose weight, go to the gym. I just want to share my experience with diets because I've done plenty. The Paleo diet, which consists of meat, fish, eggs, seeds, nuts, fruits and veggies, and some healthy fats and oils. This is basically the first diet I've ever been on that I remember at least. So at the time, I didn't know the name of the diet. I had no dairy and no carbs, and I did intermittent fasting. But basically this whole diet, I like to say the caveman diet because if it wasn't in the caveman days, you can't eat it. So that obviously means no bread. And I love bread. I love bread. So that was a tough one. Dairy, I could do without. I could get around that, but bread and carbs. So on top of no bread, I was doing intermittent fasting with this paleo diet. Thank goodness I was working 12-hour shifts because I probably wouldn't be able to do it. I would just want to snack all the time and just have bread. I think I did it for like a month or two. Did I see results? Yes, I did lose weight. But in the end, could I not eat bread for the rest of my life? No. The real food diet. Basically, it consists of fruits, vegetables, beans, whole grains, nuts, seeds, dairy, eggs, meat, fish, and poultry. Whole foods and no processed foods. And let's just say that's that fine print on the diet. So I call this the real food diet. I see raw food diet sometimes, but that means no cooking of the foods. I did cook foods, but just whole ingredients. These foods that only have one ingredient. Sometimes if I was buying packaged foods, I would make sure it has like 5 ingredients or less. But that's basically what it was. No processed foods of any sorts. I liked this diet overall, but I just don't think it's sustainable saying you'll never have a processed food ever again. Did I lose weight? Yes. At the end of the day, I had energy. I felt good. It makes you really focus on eating those whole foods. Also, shopping was just so much easier because you're in the poultry section, in the meat section, then you can have the seafood, whole fruits and veggies, and then all those processed foods and those aisles, no. Pescatarian. This diet is plant-based. You have your whole grains, nuts, legumes, produce and healthy fats, dairy and eggs. You're able to eat seafood and that's your main protein source. The vegetarian diet excludes meat, fish, and poultry, but it allows dairy products and eggs. There's different types of vegetarian, but that's the one that I did. To be honest, I really didn't like these diets. So I would say majority of the time I was pescatarian, but then some days like I just didn't feel like eating fish. So I was a vegetarian those days. It was like an on and off switch basically. I didn't really feel the best being pescatarian, vegetarian. I feel like I was weak, I didn't have a lot of energy, and I also started getting headaches. Those weren't fun. So I think that was because I was missing the certain nutritional elements that I was getting from meat and I wasn't taking any supplements. I don't know. I just feel like it wasn't for me. And I know obviously each diet, to each their own, it works for different bodies. Mediterranean diet, it consists of plant foods, fresh fruits, beans, nuts, whole grains, seeds, olive oil, and cheese and yogurts. It also includes moderate amounts of fish and poultry, some eggs, and very small amounts of red meat. I feel like this is like the most normal diet to do because you could really eat anything. Things really weren't limited, but they were in like moderation, such as red meat. Obviously, no processed foods. When I was eating like this, I feel like I sustained my weight well. It was just eating a healthy diet. But eventually, not having processed foods and just completely getting rid of them, you're going to start craving them and wanting them because you're deprived. And that's where I feel like having processed foods in small amounts is better than like totally limiting because then you're going to end up binging anyways. The Atkins diet, low carb, high protein and fats. Well, as you guys probably know, like I said in the beginning, your girl loves bread. And this is low carb, and bread has a lot of carbs. This was a struggle for me, and I also struggle eating protein every day, and I feel like it's very filling also, so you just don't want a lot of it. I don't know why. I think it's just carbs are so easy, and you can get them so easily. Make a sandwich. Carbs are just easier to consume, and I feel like they're everywhere in every food. I feel like when you are on a low carb diet, you're really limiting a lot of foods. Overall, the Atkins diet has really taught me to lower those carbs and try to reach for those proteins more. The carnivore diet, basically a diet that includes foods that either swim, walk, or fly. This is probably the most extreme diet we've ever done. My husband and I did it together. He only ate ground beef, I think for like 3 weeks. And I ate ground beef, bacon, and eggs. This diet is beyond extreme. If you like variety of foods, you're not getting it in this one. This was the toughest, obviously. Like, I was only eating 3 foods. I will tell you this though. If your goal is to lose weight, you will lose the weight. This was the least amount I weighed, if that makes sense, ever. I actually had a lot of energy when doing this one, probably because there was literally 0 processed foods. Like, I couldn't even like sneak something or cheat something, but it's just not sustainable. When doing this diet though, you have to take supplements for obviously the nutrients that you're missing, like even vegetables. It was even to the extreme that my husband ended up in urgent care because that's how bad he felt. So this one, I wouldn't recommend to anyone, even if you're really trying to lose weight. Like, it's just not safe. So I really don't like this diet. I don't recommend it to anyone. If you do, talk to your doctor. Intermittent fasting, an eating pattern that cycles between periods of fasting and eating. It doesn't specify any foods that you can or can't eat, but rather a time of when you should eat them. I don't really consider this a diet, because it's just telling you when to eat your foods. So I've done the 16 and 8, which is for 16 hours you don't eat, 8 hours you eat, not eat 8 straight hours. Basically, you can eat your food from, let's say, 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m. And that's the only time frame you can eat, and then the rest you're basically heading for bed anyway, so you shouldn't be eating late, and then you're sleeping. I think this is really the way to go if you're trying to lose weight, even maintain your weight. You're not restricted any foods. You can still have those processed. And the best part about it is I feel like it just keeps your eating habits in check. So you're just not constantly eating and snacking, because I'm a very guilty snacker. And sometimes I just see something and I'm like, let's just eat it. It definitely helped me in that regard. I kind of don't do it anymore, even though I want to, but with my migraines, I feel like if I don't eat for a long period of time, I get a massive headache, and I really can't afford those. Keto, a very low carb, high fat diet. It's similar to Atkins and other low carb diets, but it drastically reduces your carb intake and it replaces it with fats. So I actually did this one a month or 2 ago. You know, I was upset with the carbs because this one is very low carbs. I did in the range of like 20 to 40 grams of carbs every day. But I realized that I feel like it would have just been easier to totally eliminate carbs, because when you're calculating these carbs, you should have seen me at the grocery store. I was reading the labels, and then I learned that the total carbs on the packaging really isn't the amount of carbs that's in the food technically. Like, you have to subtract the fiber and the sugar alcohols, and then that's your net carbs, and then that counts as the carbs toward your keto diet. It was just too much calculations. Like, if the foods weren't already calculated for you and like labeled as keto friendly foods, like, you were staring at labels, taking out your calculator, doing all this crap to figure out how many carbs there is in that food and if it's worth buying or not. So I really didn't like that in that regard. I think if you're trying to do like a low carb diet, maybe Atkins is better than keto, because keto is really small carbs, not a lot, and just too much work. Like, I feel like it's easier to just calculate your calories and stick to that than like trying to calculate how many carbs you're eating. So I pretty much tried every diet under the sun. Probably haven't tried them all because there's so many variations of everything. I didn't try vegan. That's one I haven't tried. I think after not feeling good on pescatarian, vegetarian, that to completely like even eliminate eggs, like I really couldn't do that. But at the end of the day, everybody's are different. Everyone reacts to different things and foods. Some people feel better on this, some people feel better on that. After trying all these crazy fad diets, I realized that if you can't sustain this diet for the rest of your life, like you're probably not gonna stick to it. You're just putting yourself and your body through pain, and it's just not worth it, because then, from my experience, you end up binging on the food, the weight comes back, and you're back to square one. I think eating foods in moderation, such as even processed foods, just limit them. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've ever done any of these crazy fad diets, leave a comment down below. Let me know which one you've done. I hope you liked this video and learned something new. If you did, smash that like button. And if you didn't already, smash that subscribe button. I'll see you guys later. Bye. I think at the end of the day, what I learned after crying because I had no bread.